Yes, family, this is the one. You know who it is, people. United, all lives matter. Yo, everybody come together. We all have one love, one universe, one heart, red blood, blue veins. Well, this is the one, family. I put a video, uploaded a video explaining why we shouldn't join the forces. If you don't know, I was in the forces for 8 to 8 years. Yes, 8 years. So I'm speaking from experience. I went to war in the Afghan and Iraq war. I received a medal called the War Against Terrorism, which was abbreviated to TWAT. And honestly, I did feel like a twat when I obviously went to war. So this is for mothers, fathers, children. This is why you shouldn't go to war, because it no longer keeps you sane. It changes your spirituality. I explain the fact that when you actually kill another individual, the teacher in science that that individual is an energy, and energy needs to go somewhere, it can't be destroyed. So when you kill an individual, you're actually yeah. Let me just play this and then I'll put it down first, yeah, because right now. So yeah, when you actually physically kill an individual, what that does is basically that energy, that spirit, has to find the nearest energy, that spirit, to obviously attach itself to. So this is why all of these individuals, ex-forces members, are having such a difficult time with the order that was carried out, because they don't want you to know this information. I even explained in the video the fact that the army is designed for the people in poorer backgrounds. You notice that they obviously, when you're richer from a family and you go to university, you get a degree, and you're automatically pushed ahead of all the people from the poorer backgrounds. No matter if they've been there for 40 years, 50 years, you are now able to give orders when you have no experience of being to war or any experience at all. Just from getting a degree in a uni, you're able to command an army and then send that army, which consists of the people from poorer backgrounds. Have you been in there for 40, 50 or 1 year? You know, them ones there. So like the children, the ones that are most inexperienced, the ones from the poorer background, are sent into battle first. Do you know what I mean, family? So this is why this video is very, very important. We have to share this to 2 people, and get them to share it to 2 people. That's all I ask, because we have to get our children to stop joining and doing violent acts against one another, such as boxing, UFC, anything that promotes violence towards a human, another person, another personification, another creation. We have to abolish. What we need to do is put our creation, our thoughts into music, art, poetry, dancing, singing. And I don't mean going through the controlled environment, the controlled media, the controlled entertainment industry. I mean by us working and sticking together, the angels, not the demons, but we're all angels and demons, but the ones that are looking to help the future, which I already explained, is the children. So that's what it's all about, family. So this is why this video is so important, and it explains what what it's like to go through PTSD. I can't even say the word, because it's not a word, man. This is very, very. It's an experience that can't be described in PTSD or whatever the hell it is. So, family, without further ado, let's get into this. Okay.
It's a startling number to hear 8,000 veterans killing themselves on a yearly basis. Joining me now is Jake Clark, the founder of Save a Warrior, the program that you just saw featured in that report. Jake, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So you yourself are a veteran, 2 times, first enlisted and as an officer. You've also served as an LAPD officer and as a FBI agent, Secret Service, correct?
That's correct.
So you have a long history of active duty and service to your country, and yet here you have started an organization in 2012, I believe, that is basically showing the consequences, the next step beyond what people see as the heroic troop going off to fight the war, the macho bravado of American militarism. What brought you to that point of saying, look, we need to do something to actually help these guys cope with the consequence of what they're facing?
It was many things, Sean. I was watching the numbers of these particularly young male warriors. 98% of the PTS-related suicide are male warriors, and I was frustrated that someone could survive in environments like Iraq and Afghanistan and come home and not survive the relative peace of the reintegration. And as I began to look more at the issue, I found that historically, this had been an issue.
Listen, the man said, how are we able to go to Iraq, Afghan, carry out all them horrific acts, and then we come into saying beautiful, wherever we came from, our home, we end up committing suicide, we end up going insane. What is the reasoning behind that? And that is the reasoning, family, what I've just told you, because that energy and that spirit has attached itself to the person that has obviously taken its physical body.
Going back as early as the Civil War, but more in a more contemporary way. What my big fear is that it was similar to the disintegration of the turning Vietnam warrior, where many will tell you I was spit on and called a baby killer. That slogan or that euphemism was replaced with "thank you for your service" and "hey, good luck with that PTS." So our guys interpret that as, hey, better you than me. And there really wasn't, I don't think the public had a real listening for it because so few relative in the scale have served. When you look at numbers in World War II and you look at numbers in Vietnam, for example, 11% of the public served during World War II, 4% in Vietnam. And in this contemporary conflict era, it's 0.045, so less than 0.5% of Americans have put boots on the ground in Iraq and Afghanistan. So they're not really tuned into not so much the issue of war, but what it's like for someone to try to come home from multiple deployments and blast injuries and losing friends and trying to find where's my fit now that I've come back and I've served. And the downward spiral that comes with that, the drinking, the medication, the contact with law enforcement, the not being able to hold a job, the disintegration of their families, the downward spiral seem much quicker than what happened with the returning Vietnam warrior. And I thought, I need to do something about this because I've been very blessed from my military experience that led to all those great careers that I had that I wanted to do. And I was given amazing educational benefits from having served in the military. Being a kid from a small town in Amish country in Lancaster County, those opportunities were not going to come to me any other way that I could think of. And I felt this need to give back, but it was more a sense of frustration, like this is just not okay. There was a social injustice that I felt that a young 22, 23, 24-year-old warrior would find that with all of the systems in place, their thinking ultimately led them to taking their own life. Right. I just struggled being with that.
And I mean, that is the 8,000 number we're looking at is not just young veterans, it's also older veterans too that are continuing to kill themselves, right? The guys from the Vietnam era.
Right. That number's a little tricky. It doesn't get broken down typically in when it's spoken about.
Did you hear what he said? Yeah, family? Yeah, he said even the veterans are taking their own life. You understand? Because the veterans know that it's wrong. You've just killed another innocent human being, another heart, another creation. They can't live with it. That spirit, that energy is constantly haunting them, taunting them for the rest of their life. This is what I'm saying, family. This video is very, very important, family. And have tried to stop me, please.
But the vast majority, the preponderance of that number are the Vietnam era veterans who've just said, you know what, I've had enough. I've been trying to heal for 45 going on 50 years. It's just not going to work out for me. I just can't find a foothold in my healing. And I think the numbers that don't get counted, the suicides by cop, the accidental overdoses, the alcohol poisonings, the driving a car across 6 lanes of traffic, anything to preserve the equivocal nature of that death so that maybe insurance benefits can be paid, or a person doesn't want to leave a legacy of suicide for their children to have to confront. So the number's very tricky. It is very, very tricky. But what we do know, because of social media and because of the immediacy of communication between warriors that have come, through things like Facebook and Twitter and just instant messaging, is they know immediately when a buddy has taken their own life. And one of the subjects of the documentary mentions in the film that he's had 10 buddies kill themselves out of his battalion. And that's a staggering number. You're looking at, over time, Holocaustal numbers of warriors coming back, where the IAVA, the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans Association, released a study last week.
Well, it says 1 battalion, So, and over 10 out of 1 battalion. You know how many battalions there are? That's what I'm trying to say, family. And that's just, that's just every 6 months, 3 months, there's a new battalion. The ones that are a new set of recruits. So that's a new battalion, isn't it? Listen up, family, listen.
Where 800,000, or 1 in 3 returning warriors from Iraq and Afghanistan, have considered or are considering suicide. 800,000. That's a big number. Even if only 10% were to ultimately take their lives, that's more warriors that were lost in the Vietnam War. But I think it's going to go much higher than that, because the warrior becomes.
But the man said we lost more people to suicide than we have in the actual war, the Vietnam War. That's what I'm trying to say, family. Yeah, like, it's not as simple as, Call of Duty, psh, 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 game over and get a new life. No, it's nothing simple as that, no. Family, there's a reason why the rich don't send their children into war. It's not just because they don't want their children harmed. It's because they know this, family. They know once you take a life, karma, rama, banana, drama. Listen, once you take a life, but you just took a wife.
Becomes frustrated so quickly that they can't find relief any other way than to take their own life.
Well, it's interesting because Chris Kyle was in the news, even though he's passed away, and he was in the news this week because Jesse Ventura was suing him over allegations in Chris Kyle's book, American Sniper, that he had knocked Jesse out in a bar, and Jesse won the case where he said this was libelous and it was not true. He won the case, but Kyle himself was killed by a buddy, according to the news reports, right? A buddy who had PTSD, right? He was trying to help him by taking to him gun range, right?
Correct.
Do you think that was the right strategy to help?
I would say that Chris Kyle, who in his military career and in his passing is looked by that community as a national treasure, and someone that was really trying to take his celebrity and transition that into benevolence and paying it forward. And tragically, he took a young warrior at his word that he was looking for support, and what that young warrior wanted was Chris's vehicle. He wanted to steal the truck, and his thinking was so psychotic at that point. He thought, well, if I just kill him and I kill Chris's friend, I'm going to go outside, because he immediately confessed to his sibling, I think I killed these 2 guys. I wanted the truck. And it just shows you that when someone has a psychotic break, that the tragedy can happen, even to someone like a Chris Kyle, whose heart was in the right place. But, me personally, in our programs, I would never introduce anything like that, because I don't think you need to revisit anything traumatic to heal trauma. But, this was a very skilled operator, highly decorated, the best at what he did. It was just a series of unfortunate events where he ran across somebody who was looking to have, who was going to find those kind of circumstances. And it's just terribly, terribly unfortunate. And even the aftermath of everything that happened, it's very sad all the way around.
But it's interesting how the cycle of aggression is not just into suicide, but also towards killings like this, right? Of a soldier who's come back who's suffering with PTSD and ends up shooting a fellow soldier. I mean, this is not an isolated case. This is also occurring.
Correct.
The cycle of aggression and violence.
What we seek to do is to put warriors in a very controlled set and setting with a high degree of intention, with a dosing and a sequence where they're on a parallel path with other warriors that have gone through a healing process with us, so that they're met with what we refer to as unconditional positive regard, no judgment, no criticism, nothing as ad hoc as maybe taking a guy to a gun range that seems benign on its face because they're two warriors, but it's very deliberate and very well thought out and very crafted. It's almost like an ARG, or like an alternate reality game, where it's very player intensive, and there's a suspension of disbelief and a willingness to lean into the unknown, because our guys are in so much pain when they come to us that they're desperate enough to take direction and maybe do something alternative that 100, 200, 300 years ago would have been pro forma. For example, a Native American coming back to a reservation would have undergone sweat lodges and healing ceremonies and things that were steeped in ritual and ceremony and spiritual initiation. So there's kind of a missing leg on that hero's journey of separation, initiation, and return treasure. You have guys coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and now with skirmishes, ramping back up, asking themselves, what is it that I fought for? Why did I lose my friends there? So there's a big open wound, and when I point to in the opening, this isn't broken, this is broken, we deal with guys primarily and women whose hearts are broken because of what happened before.
Do you see what's going on, family? Because they realize that they're being bamboozled, they're being lied to. We went to fight a war for no reason. No one's there. We're killing natural human beings just because somebody's told us to. They're not just human. They've got a heart, and they've got blue veins, red blood, blue veins, and they have a mind, they have thought, and they've got a spirit and an energy. So where do you think that's going to go? Family, you need to share this. Don't share it. It's up to you. But listen, this is power. This is powerful, family, because at the end of the day, yeah, what do you want? What do you want? Mothers especially, because some fathers won't get able, because we're a bit boisterous with male, but females, women, mothers, stop sending you children. Stop it and send it to your niece, your nephew. None of them. There's got women going in there, coming back, killing themselves. No one's there. And then if they talk, they'll probably get killed in there themselves. Friendly fire. Come on, people.
Before they join the military, maybe some circumstances that happened during their career, and we seek to create space where there is no space so that they can move through these events very quickly and process this trauma and get on with their lives.
Well, you mentioned the Native American process, and I think that what you're referring to is a spiritual journey that is not really accepted by most of the mainstream thinking about the military. And when I say I'm opposed to the support our troops sloganeering, is that it's like no matter where we are in the world, we have our guys everywhere. The military has a presence in over 100 countries in the world, and we have to support that no matter what. And yet we're throwing kids into battlefields they don't understand, right? We're putting them in positions to be killers, to see horrible things unfold, and not even understanding what's the connection to protecting their family, protecting their homes, right? We've kind of had this disconnect in our probably since Vietnam, of actually fighting for something with stakes, where you're as opposed to just having troops present in foreign countries, having an occupation kind of mentality. And I think that does obviously, like you said, it can leave a spiritual gap where people are wondering, what am I fighting for? What am I doing here? How is this really helping America? This is not a special ops assassination of an Al-Qaeda leader. This is us, having a presence in Afghanistan to make sure the Taliban don't get back in power. But at the end of the day, it's not our country, and they look at us as invaders. How can we help? And they say, how can we? I think what you're doing is ultimately helping to change the overall system of how we approach what it is to be a warrior, which is to say, it's not to be a killer, it's not to be someone who just blindly follows orders, but always has a spiritual grounding and a purpose in what they're trying to serve.
A lot of things are surfacing in the aftermath of, how do we get to a place where there's 22 suicides a day in the count? How do we get to a place where there's phantom lists of people being served at the VA? How do we get to a place where we've put so much resource into a system of socialized medicine that continuously falls short? How do we get to a place where we don't learn the lessons of history? Why do we keep revisiting the maxim of history teaches us we learn nothing from history? Why aren't we learning? Why aren't we learning? And what I endeavored to do in this was, number one, not ask for anybody's permission, to be incredibly disruptive, catalytic, a bit startling with this approach, and look at what the mainstream offering was, and look at some things a little more anthropologically or a little more holistically or metaphysically. And the good news is that the neuroscience, the science, everybody wants to go, the science is catching up with metaphysics. And what they're finding is we're at a place in time where the population, for the first time in recorded history, doesn't believe in a spiteful and punishing supreme deity. They believe in one that's more loving and kind and generous and benevolent. So there's a listening in these warriors to seek an experience that rises to the mystic. And we have found through science, through neuroscientific evidence out of the University of Pennsylvania, that we can create the ideal condition for that moment to occur for them to disrupt and dislodge this vector assigned path towards suicide and have them consider another way to go and express to them in a way that is devoid of politics, that is devoid of partisan bickering, that, listen, we want to craft you into a servant leader. We believe that if we teach you at a very spiritual level, agnostic, be it atheist, agnostic, secular, whatever your belief system is, we want to present you with something that complements that belief or non-belief in a supreme deity that allows you to travel through these experiences that you're going to have in some extraordinary circumstances and still come out the other side and be able to live your life on life's terms and not melt down and not reach for the booze, the drugs, the shopping, the porn, the whatever the distraction is.
Everyone does.
Which everyone does.
Yeah, I mean,
but the warrior cast,
right?
But the warrior cast doesn't want to be seen that way. You talk about, there is a growing sense of nationalism and the flyovers and the flags, and we support the troops, and here's the bumper sticker, and then I point to the statistic, and I go, yeah, but, and that we're still racking up this epidemic number of returning warrior suicides, and people don't know what to do. People want to help, but they don't know what to do. So I said to myself,
listen, seriously, no more. Yeah, stop it right now. They don't want me to put this video. They're trying to stop me from making this video. Don't send no more children to war. Stop them going into boxing, UFC. Stop it right now. Women, I'm talking to you all women. You want to change the future right now? Change it right now. Get them into something that's going to create, that's going to entice, that's going to multiply, not destroy. It's simple. It's simple maths.
Take all of these things I've been looking at for 30 years. It all begins with, I have an idea. And the timing for me was such that I was in an MBA program and came across some literature from a Harvard Business School professor who talked about the business modeling and the cost efficiencies, because people are always going to ask, Sean, what does it cost? What does it cost? And it's typically less than the cost of a month's prescription medication that is only masking the issue anyway. So I really try to apply some well-grounded, common sense thinking to an otherwise esoteric area that we're venturing into, and knock some of the crunchiness off of it and present it in a way that a Delta Commando, a Green Beret, an active duty Marine, a Scout Sniper, a PJ from the Air Force, an Army Ranger would come in and after 5.5 days say, validate it and go, that worked. That is exactly what I required to take the next step and to begin the next part of my healing journey. And that's what I think, that's why the lightning has struck in Malibu, and now that thunderclap is being heard around the country, and this film really brings it into stark.
Tell them to send their children to war. If they want to fight, go invade the next land, send your children, man. What's wrong with you, man? Why have you send us? You know what I'm saying? And then when you send us, and we have worked there for 40 years, your children come boss us and tell us to go to war and kill ourselves, and then you get then children get medal. Yo, stop.
Relief, where we're saying, listen, there is a solution.
Stop it.
We need support.
Don't.
Please be thoughtful in your giving and your donations of where you're putting your support. Giving this guy a t-shirt and an outing to Dodger Stadium is not going to help in any way with his PTS. You're going to distract from the distraction, but if we really want to be serious, it's going to take a community resiliency model that has the history of other community resiliency models that have shown that they work. And
I'm going to take a community, get this video out. Only take 2 people. You know, that was if you pass it around the community. Stop it. It's simple. It's maths. It's just energy. It's just, I can't even, it's not even maths. It's English. It's everything. The baby just understands this. Like,
and we're very excited.
When babies are born, yeah, you put the baby in the room amongst, no matter who, no matter where they come from. You know, all I'm going to do is play, eat, sleep, repeat. Play, eat, sleep. Tell me something. Play, eat, sleep. Wash, not for wash. But I don't care. Play, eat, sleep. Yeah? That's it, family, yeah? No matter where they come from, yeah? Put every nation, baby in the room, they now fight one another, but then all of a sudden we get to that age where them wipe that out of us. Every youth talk about, yo, what is their purpose in life? Peace, love, unity amongst all. All right.
At this point, you know, we've never lost a warrior to suicide, and most guys coming to me are prior attempts.
Wow.
They've tried to take their own lives. They've tried to hang themselves. They've been up on the bridge. They've swallowed the pills. I've had a guy fire a gun off next to his head. I've had warriors sitting in parks in Cincinnati with 45 pistols pressed to their forehead, moments away from pulling the trigger. 3 days later, in a 60-foot round pen with a wild Mustang, getting back down in their bodies, getting back down in reality. And to the outside people, they can be thinking, it can't be that simple.
Done. Yeah, them done. Them done. Yeah, family? Listen what I'm saying, man. It's not a joke, yeah? When you've really been to war, yeah, and you've seen certain stuff, yeah, it changes you forever. And not fully good, yeah? These people, these children are never going to be the same again.
Well, it actually is that simple. And it doesn't.
Unless they get a spiritual healing, a spiritual enlightenment, so they know within themselves that it weren't their fault. Even though they carried out an order, which they were just carrying out the order, which if they never carried out that order, they would have got shot anyway. So either way, you know what I mean, you do what you have to do. You know, the ones that will just know that you're sorry for taking that spirit, that energy, that love, that creation. You know, the ones that you are sorry and you never make it happen again. And you'll do your best to save lives. Simple. Don't take lives, save lives. Don't take lives.
It doesn't take 5.5 days. It takes that moment in time to create that breakthrough for that warrior. And I think the film shows that very nicely.
So where will the documentary you're referring to, the film, where will that be seen or
That will
screened?
be seen on August 12th on CNN at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Pacific Time as well. And then it airs again on the 17th of August.
We're going to pause it there. Save a warrior. Yeah. Save our children. Save the future. Right now. Share. Subscribe. Notify. Press the bell button. But listen, I don't even need to tell you to do this. You should know to do this already, family. Like, the time is now. Like, stop waiting for tomorrow, because tomorrow will never get there. So the time is now. Share this video. Start making your children go to war. And just make sure you listen out for more videos like this. Exactly like this. People, one love.